Welcome to Unleashed. And don't forget to join us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. Here are the guys.
We are unleashed. It's December, which means it's probably cold out. Maybe. I don't know. I can't speak for everywhere. Somebody who's probably not cold, though, is our guest, Mr. Phil Standiforth. How you doing, Phil?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm definitely not cold. Although the air conditioning is on 17, so I'm actually a litlittle bit cold.
The air conditioning's on 17. The room that I'm in without anything was 15. Ugh.
Yeah.
And that's James. He lives in the woods, so he's always cold.
It's freezing. It is.
His neighbor is Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
Do you live near Crystal Lake at all? Do you ever catch sights of Jason stalking around your property?
There actually like 5 minutes from me is something that reminds me of Camp Crystal Lake, and I like going there on my paddleboard and just going as fast away from it as possible because it's kind of creepy, but it's awesome.
So is that why every time I go to your house, there's that weird old man walking around? He keeps telling me I'm doomed.
Yep.
That's the reason?
Because you are doomed. Yeah.
But we're unleashed. We're here today. We're going to be talking about somebody else who's always telling people that they're doomed. C3PO. That's called a segue, kids. C3PO is he's prominent. He's getting more and more prominent by the day as Rise of Skywalker draws nearer and nearer to its release. Now, the thing about C3PO is he kind of always he's a background singer. He's always a Solange, never a Beyonce. But it looks like today, or rather the 20th, that's about to change. So, Phil, let me start with you here. How do you feel about the fact that 3PO is becoming more and more of a front and center character here?
I mean, it's. I guess the original trilogy characters, they brought back Han, they've got rid of him, right? And they brought back Luke, and they've got rid of him. So, I don't know whether it was a purposeful thing just to keep those characters, C3PO and R2D2, throughout the whole saga. So maybe they want to keep somebody alive, from the original. And also there was the story about the droids were George Lucas's idea of who was telling the story, right? So perhaps, I don't know if it's R2 or C3PO, but perhaps because it's the end of the story, he will become more prominent, or one of them will, or both of them will become more prominent. But I like the idea. I mean, C3PO he's a pretty cool dude, right? So he's
He is.
I'm looking forward to seeing how much more he's going to be in this one.
Yeah, same. I'm gonna make a confession right now. You guys might have heard me say this already, but from the first time I watched the movies when I was little, I always liked C3PO more than like Han Solo and Chewbacca. I loved him a lot. James, what do you think about the fact that he is becoming more and more prominent?
I love it. Just like Phil just said, he's, Lucas always said it was the droids telling the story. I think it was R2, but 3PO's been there, and 3PO has been there from the start. And he's, every time I put on a TV spot or the trailer for Aaron, she's always like, and he says that line, taking one last look. She's like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready. It's because it is kind of like we've watched these movies through the eyes of these droids. We've followed them. They are the first ones we were introduced to in the entire saga, not episode one, but the very first, A New Hope, it's like 3PO and R2 are there and they guide us and we meet our hero Luke because of them. And and without R2, they don't land on Tatooine to meet Anakin. So really these droids are the most important part of the saga one way or another. And it looks like, if this is going to be the last one, give 3PO, especially because of Anthony Daniels, give him the send-off that he deserves. But don't blow him to smithereens.
Oh,
yeah.
You just imagine the shot. He's like, "I'm coming," and then like some missile just hits him and just. And Chewie just goes.
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
All right. So here's a question, and James, I'll start with you on this. What was your reaction initially, and then over time, to the idea of Anakin building C3PO?
I I actually kind of thought I liked the way he looked with his wires and everything, all the parts showing. I thought that was really cool. I think my initial reaction was I thought it was a little weird that Anakin of all people would build 3PO, but then I stopped caring in the movie because I love the Phantom Menace and I'm biased. I don't care. So that was it. I think it was mostly to show that Anakin could build anything. They wanted to really establish that fact. Not that it ever played out in the original trilogy so much, but I think they wanted to show that. And maybe that was supposed to kind of bleed into him becoming a robot. But yeah, I think at first I was a little bit like, why bother? And then over time, I was like, I just kind of accepted it. I don't know.
Phil, what about you?
Yeah, there is still a question, right, but whether he found parts and made 3PO or rebuilt him. Is that correct? Or whether he built him from scratch?
There is, yeah. There's some stuff to kind of shed light on that, and I'll get to that soon. But yeah, that was up for grabs for a while.
Yeah, and I don't think really. I hope that doesn't play a part in the movie so much that because Anakin built him, he's now going to become. He's going to, sort of go full circle, and he's now going to be the one that saves everybody. Because in my opinion, I think this movie should focus mostly on Rey being being the main savior of everybody, which is. So I think there was a question at one point, or a thought at one time that C3PO would sort of come back, and because he was made by Anakin, maybe he would. It's kind of like a full circle thing, but yeah, no, I mean, I don't care so much about how he was made. Really.
Can I jump in here for a second, Andrew? Mm-hmm. Okay, Andrew's off this conversation. No, I think that brings up a good point about Rey, though, because it all comes down to whose story is this now? Yeah. Has the saga branched off into Rey's story, or are they going to rewind it a bit and go back to it being the Anakin story? I think that's a really important question going into the movie to figure out is what storyline are we following now? Because when I saw The Force Awakens, I felt like we branched off and we were following this new character story. But then when they refer to it as the Skywalker Saga, I'm like, well, are you reverting back to that? Like, I'm not sure of the direction they're going. And so that's a great point, because if it's Rey's story, then I'm with you. Don't worry about explaining 3PO and Anakin. But if they're going back the other way, then for me, I'm kind of like, well, I wouldn't mind knowing. Like, I wouldn't mind. Not so much that. It's just because he's been around forever. Those memories are uber important, I guess. But I think, if there's a mention that Anakin built him, that would be a nice touch to end the Skywalker Saga. Unless, of course, they make episode 10.
Yeah.
Right. And we all know it's only 12 months away from episode 10. Yeah, confirmed. Right. Yeah. Mike Zero told me in person. Of course. I actually saw something the other day that I wanted to bring up today, because I like the Marvel run of Star Wars comics that they've been doing. I'm always behind on them because I don't buy issue by issue. That just gets way too expensive and it's not enough space. So I just wait for the trades because they're that thin. They barely take up room on the shelf. So I just wait like 6 months for a trade to come out. And in one of the recent issues, I think it was like 72 or something, C3PO was on this planet with Chewie, and Vader shows up. And Vader has a full-on conversation with C3PO.
Yeah.
And at no point is Vader ever like, you were, part of my life. Like, there was no indication that he reckoned. Obviously, 3PO's memories were gone, so he doesn't know. But Vader never kind of paused or even looked at him. He was just kind of doing his Vader thing, just being like, let's kill folks, because I'm a Sith. So it was really curious that they had that opportunity to play to that. And I mean, like, how often do you get 3PO and Vader sharing a scene? Like, almost never. This is the first time I can think of. So it was weird that the writers of the comic had that opportunity and then didn't do anything with it. And I wonder, was that just like an oversight? Was that restraint that like story group said, no, don't touch that yet? Or like, were they just, what was the deal there? I would love to know more about that. But my main concern today, and like the reason that I wanted to talk about C3PO at all, was that thing that I found in. Let me just bring up my photograph of it here. Where is it? Where's my photograph? Here we go. Of the visual dictionary. And I was gonna I can turn it to the camera. You guys can't see it, but everybody watching will see. But I have the photo of the
We'll
visual.
see it eventually.
Yeah, you'll see it eventually. Posthumous photograph.
Yeah.
You're
not planning on dying, are you?
Yeah, oh, I hope not. C3PO might be. C3PO might be.
Oh my god.
But on page 80 of the visual dictionary that came out last year, they shed some light on what you mentioned there, Phil, where they made it pretty clear from this entry that 3PO wasn't built by Anakin, he was rebuilt.
Yeah.
Where it says, young Anakin Skywalker finds C3PO's key components discarded as junk and sets about rebuilding him. And I know that was always sort of a point of contention with fans who were like, yeah, Anakin, he's smart and he can make things, but why would he make a droid that looks like all the droids that come off the assembly line? Like, it just looks like every protocol droid. If a little boy made a robot, it would be more imaginative. So this kind of answers that question. It makes sense. Like, he didn't build this from scratch. He just cobbled some parts together and was like, hey, I can make this thing work again, which means there was a life. He had some kind of life before he wound up as junk on Tatooine. So with this in mind, with this, like, the visual dictionary all but confirming this, like, Phil, do you think this is something that's just there to be like, there you go, fans, if you didn't like how he was in episode 1, this might make you feel better? Or do you think that this means they have more plans for 3PO, whether it's in Rise of Skywalker just as like lines of dialogue, or whether it's even as far as like, let's make a new droids cartoon somewhere down the road?
I think it's more likely to be the droids cartoon, right? Because in that cartoon is not Disney canon, right? Is that right?
Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah.
So, but because in that cartoon that was pre episode 4, I think.
Yeah.
So that was had other masters at the time, right? And he had other. So I think it'd be more interesting to go back and do that. You know, possibly. I think it would end up being an animated thing. I don't think it would be like a live action thing, but I think it could be a new animated droids. Or even if it's not a new animated droids, it could be put into a animated series when you see C3PO with a different master in an episode. If they ever go back and do sort of more prequels, you know, like cartoons and stuff. So if they do rehash the droids cartoon, it doesn't necessarily have to be about C3PO, but he could appear in it. They could just do any kind of droids, or like a droid factory, or something like that, right? Or, so I think it would make sense to have him have had a past, I think, rather than just being built by Anakin. I think that makes sense. But also to James's point about sort of things not quite working out. You also get the thing when you said that Vader met C3PO, and they had a conversation. He didn't remember him, but you also get that in A New Hope, right? So in episode 1, 2, and 3, Obi-Wan Kenobi has this whole history with R2-D2. When he meets him on Tatooine, it's like, I don't ever remember owning a droid, kind of thing, thing.
Yeah.
So like there is something. I mean, that's going to happen when a saga spans 45 years. That stuff like that is just going to happen. I think you just have to sort of forget it sometimes because he would obviously, now that we've seen the prequels, he would obviously remember all the adventures that he had with R2-D2. And when you see Obi-Wan Kenobi in episode 4, he clearly doesn't remember R2-D2. And that might be explained in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series that's going to be coming out. You know, maybe he's something like that. So anyway,
I like to think of that droids cartoon as canon. I've canonized it in my own mind because I like to think of it as in Revenge of the Sith, Bail Organa's like, wipe the protocol droid's mind, and they go and wipe it. But then to kind of give him like this fake past, they shipped him and R2 away to have other masters so that no one can ever, like, if Vader ever saw him, he wouldn't be like, that's my old droid, because he'd be like, no, I had this master and this master. So that's how I like to canonize the droids cartoon. And I think it works out. So Disney put that on Disney Plus so we can all watch the adventures of C3PO and R2-D2 with the great.
Did they put it on Disney Plus?
No, it's not. It's not. It should.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it. I don't
I was
think.
going to say that.
Yeah, it's not.
They
Disney.
must. Yeah, I don't think they were ready to buy that out yet.
No, but it'd be great to see that.
I don't imagine it would cost much.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll buy this for $50. Done.
Yeah.
But they could redo it in like a Rebel style animation. I think for sure. I think kids would go gaga over that, and so would I.
Oh yeah, and I don't know how old Anthony Daniels is, but unlike James Earl Jones, he doesn't sound like his voice has aged. Like he sounds like he could still voice C3PO, and he wouldn't be like the fans wouldn't be like, oh, he sounds like he's getting old. That he doesn't have that sort of cadence to his voice. So, like, he could absolutely have another decade of like cartoon work with Mr. Daniels.
And he is that character. Like he's not really known for a lot else. Like with James Earl Jones, he's got a whole plethora of work. But with C3PO, he's brought out a book now called I Am C3PO. I Am C3PO.
I actually think his voice has changed a bit, Andrew, but I think he's just been 3PO for so long that our ears have evolved with his voice. That's what I think. Because if you watch A New Hope, if you watch the Droids cartoon, he's got a different tone to him a little bit. But again, I think it's just he is older, but he's a lot closer than a lot of other voice actors for sure. Except for Frank Welker, who apparently will sound like Fred from Scooby-Doo till he's 900 years old. Like I don't understand how he does that. But anyway.
Oh well, Frank Welker, that guy's like off the charts. Like he does every time you hear like a dog barking in a cartoon, that's Frank Welker.
Yeah, I know.
Like he can do. I remember the creators of The Simpsons were saying once that they just heard Frank Welker do a dog chasing a cat up a tree. Like he just did that. So that guy's a whole other level. So do you think that is there any chance? This isn't necessarily, and never tell me the odds, but if you want to go percentiles, I'm not going to hold it against you. Is there any chance that because of his prominence, from what it looks like in The Rise of Skywalker, that there's going to be some kind of moment he has in this movie that might allude to the fact that he was not Anakin was not his original maker?
I don't think so. I don't think they'll go anywhere near that.
Yeah,
I think he'll have a moment in the movie which is going to be his like goodbye kind of thing, and I think he may be, whether he's wiped and then that's the end of his story, or whether he's actually like killed, because the figure, the Black Series figure, has him with a bowcaster, right? With choose bowcaster. So whether he just goes out like all guns blazing and like
missiles hitting him hard.
Yeah, sort of like T-1000 when they were just going crazy, and or whether he, once his memory's wiped, that's the end, of him. And I'm not sure, but I don't think they'll go too much into the past of him. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think so. I don't think you know what it comes down to who is the basis of the story now, and if it's Rey and Kylo, 3PO so far removed from them. Although I'm sure 3PO was around for a lot of Ben Solo's youth, but I just think you don't worry so much about that. You can have a moment. There could be a subtle realization or memory of my previous masters, and my previous masters.
I think there's going to be a few moments. In this movie, there's going to be a Lando moment. There's going to be a C3PO moment. There's going to be a Leia moment. Like,
okay, can we cut his mic? Cut his mic. There's going to be. I don't know. There's going to be moments for sure. You're right. Yeah. I don't know. A few days away.
They should equip tissue boxes during this movie, because I feel like those Leia and 3PO moments especially, we're going to need them.
That's what they give you at the fan event for $40 is they give you like Rebellion logo Kleenexes. Like, here you go. Yeah. But I just want popcorn. Yeah. You are not going to want popcorn. Trust us. Here you go. The opening crawl. The opening crawl. Luke is dead. So is Han. Chewie is on the verge of death. You're like, what is happening?
Now, you brought up a point just now, James. That's a very good point. Like, when Force Awakens had come out, I remember talking to my friend about it, and I was like, we were talking about that moment where Han gets killed and then Chewie shoots Kylo Ren. And I was saying, like, that's even more powerful than it is on screen when you think about the fact that Chewie probably, he's probably like an uncle figure to Ben Solo, like probably grew up with him. And I think the same can be said here for 3PO. I mean, 3PO is essentially Leia's droid. It is like pretty much a given fact that he babysat that kid at least 10 times during his life. There's at least 10 moments where Leia's like, 3PO, I'm busy, I got work to do, look after Ben. Like, why, certainly, Mistress Leia. And he's like, like that. So there is a relationship there, even though they never say 2 words to each other in this whole trilogy so far. There is clearly a past there between the two of them. Do you think they'll have a scene together?
No.
Maybe. I don't think so.
No.
I don't even know. I can't even begin to think where Leia's going to be in this movie. Like, where is she going to be located? Because it can't be. It's going to be very tricky, I think.
Could you imagine a scene where 3PO is the one that redeems Ben Solo?
No.
Master Ben, when you were a child and you had your little plushie of Chewbacca, I do. And he's like, and he's just like, I'm good now. And he heals his crystal. That's it. 3PO will save the day. Movie over.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I just, I mean, as much as I would like 3PO to interact with it, look, we've seen of all the TV spots and shows we've gotten, there's what, 5 to 6 minutes of footage, like, at all. So I mean, it's very plausible that it happens because we haven't seen a lot of anything, but at the same time, it just it might seem misplaced in this film. I don't know, because like you said, they haven't interacted. There's been no discussion of that. And really, if you haven't read the book so much, do you even, like, is a casual fan going to walk in and be like, yeah, C3PO would have raised Ben Solo at points? I don't know if that ever would cross anybody's mind who isn't totally invested in this series. So yeah, I don't know. I think I think of the two, I think Anakin being mentioned as his maker is probably more likely, and even that seems unlikely.
It just seems like they've only got a certain amount of time, and there's a lot they need to put into this movie.
And it's only 2.5 hours, Andrew. It's not long enough for you.
That's it. 2.5, not long enough. But you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna throw in a prediction here that I think is crazy. Even though as I make it, I am questioning its logic.
You're like me on our prediction show.
I think, and this would really emotionally punch us all in the gut. Let's say, as common ground seems to suggest, let's say Leia, doesn't make it through this whole movie alive. We started off this saga where Leia leaves a message in R2-D2 and Luke finds it, and that sets off his journey. Imagine she leaves one final voice-recorded message for Ben in 3PO. And he approaches Ben and plays that message. So you see 3PO standing there, but it's Leia's voice coming out of him, saying all the things she wanted to say to her son, but could never do in person because war and whatnot. That would wreck me. I don't know about you guys, but that would wreck me. And I think I'm gonna slap some odds down on the table here. I think that is very likely. I'm gonna maybe even go as far as like 75% likely that we see something like that happen. Whether it's when his eyes turn red, I don't know, but I feel like there's something that could be done with that would really make fans both happy and sad at the same time.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Sounds like quite a nice moment. I think it might be better. You get more expression if it was R2-D2 and they played the hologram of her. Because C3PO, like, his mouth doesn't move, right? So it would just be like a noise coming out. But yeah, for sure, something like that could happen.
I think it'd be great, but they also just played that card in The Last Jedi. Excuse me. They replayed the original message, right? So it would be awesome, but also I don't think they're getting of anyone to do anything for Leia that wasn't Carrie Fisher, and to do something like that, I'm guessing they would have to hire a voice actress to come in and do that, and From what I've heard from everything of Leia on animated series or Battlefront, they haven't found someone that sounds quite like Carrie Fisher yet. So that might be that might be a little bit difficult.
And we've only seen that. Sorry.
No, go on.
We've only seen that one scene, right? Which is the hug between Rey and Leia.
Yeah, that's it.
So like it could be. I mean, who knows what they're going to do?
It sounds like she's only in the movie for like 7 minutes. I think that's what they said.
Yeah.
They had like 7 minutes of footage for her. So, I'm sure they made it work. I'm curious. A huge part of me thinks that Leia's gonna die in this movie. But then there's a part of me that's like, maybe she'll just go on. But I think she's gone before the halfway mark of the film.
Possibly, they might deal with it early, right? They might,
Yeah, like I think they're gonna over.
What if the only footage they had of Carrie was just her hugging someone? So it's just that same clip, but it's just different characters.
She just hugs everyone. Not Chewie though. Not Chewie.
She's like, snap, get over here. Hug time. Okay, one last question for you guys. Phil, I'll start with you here. Keeping it spoiler-free as possible here, there's this new TV spot, and James told me about it, and I have not watched it, but apparently it adds a little bit more to that 3PO scene we saw where he's sitting on the table there and everybody's looking at him. Did this give you any new insight as to what he might be up to in this film?
No.
No?
It was just an extra. The TV spots I've seen, it was just an extra line, I think. An extra line that he said. Is that right?
Yeah.
And it was not really. I mean, I don't think they're going to give anything away now. Like, I don't think they're going to give any serious... I think it's just an extra line or an extra few words that he said. I don't think it gave away anything to me. I mean, even the extra Rey footage that we got of her jumping from I don't know where, Star Destroyer maybe to the Millennium Falcon or something. Even that, you're like, well, what is that? Well, what is that? You know, like,
and that was funny because when you watch that,
this...
when you watch the Twitter version of that, you didn't know.
Yeah, you don't see it.
But then when you watch the widescreen, you see what she's jumping towards, and it changes the whole dynamic of what you're watching. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you though. I don't think the new dialogue, it kind of made me sadder. Actually, I was like, oh man, 3PO, but it didn't really, it didn't sway anything.
I don't think. I mean, they've cut it so that you don't see the ending of anything. Right, so she sort of leaps out of the thing, but they cut it right. And I don't think you get much from that at all. No.
So it sounds like they only filmed footage of Carrie Fisher hugging, and they only filmed footage of Daisy Ridley leaping off of
jumping. She's jumping.
She jumps a lot.
They're just like, here's a trampoline, Daisy, go nuts.
But she just jumps, and then you don't see like anything really. You just see she just jumps. But yeah, I don't know. It could be anything. Like it could be, and the context, you don't know what context that is, right? So
right.
That you don't even know if they're on the ground or if they're in space or whatever. I mean, presumably they'll be, you know. But I don't think those new TV spots gave away anything that you haven't seen already.
Yeah, no, I agree. Andrew, the only thing I recommended Andrew not to watch them because I know how he is. It doesn't give anything away, but they show a lot of new quick flashes. There's a lot of really cool looking shots I thought that they added.
Yeah, because you sounded pretty excited when you were talking about it, so I was like, maybe if it's that exciting, I think maybe I'd rather wait and see those shots.
I'm just excited. It's Star Wars. That's right.
Yeah. There's some definitely some cool shots, but like they're so quick. They're cut so quickly. But, like it's almost probably 2 or 3 frames. You know, you just cut so quickly.
Yeah.
You don't really get to see the context of where they are or anything like that.
And I accidentally sent you an image of one of the shots from the TV spots. And anyway, we'll ignore that.
It's an image of Zori Bliss saying, I was Snoke the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we are less than a month away because it is December. So we're going to find out the answers very, very soon. We are that much closer to seeing C3PO hopefully not die, because I have enough pain in my life as it is. I don't need to see C3PO.
Let's end it with a never tell me the odds then. Never tell me the odds. Andrew, I'll start with you to give Phil some time to to not cry. Every time they had C3PO dying. I mean,
I'd
not
say
dying. Whatever the droid equivalent of dying is.
Right. Which is the
shutting down, right?
shutting down? Yeah,
shutting
getting
down
thrown in lava. Let's go with 26% chance he dies.
Yeah, I'm going to go 33, but I'm going 100% on my dream ending of R2 being shut down at the very end. Phil, what about you?
I'm going to go quite high. I reckon he's going to die. I'm going to go like 80% he's going to die.
You're probably right.
Because the thing, like, they have killed off original trilogy characters throughout this saga, right? And why stop now?
If you're gonna end it, just end it. Tell us you can never go back. I think that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna. I actually think with C3PO after this movie, you're not gonna see him anymore. I possibly in an animated series, but not in
live action.
In any other live action.
I'm okay with that. So. I'm actually good with not seeing Yoda anymore. I mean, look, aside from awesome Yoda, like old Yoda, if he's not in 9, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Sure. We've had a lot of Yoda goodness. I think we're okay.
And I think you got to. I think Yoda had this turn to Yoda. I think Yoda had a good send off in Last Jedi too. I think that was a good final moment for him.
Yeah, it was better than his final moment in Return of the Jedi. Definitely, it really gave it more finality. Yeah. I felt more oomph.
Yeah, I'm good with you. Although new Yoda. Anyway,
and I also think that it will be very. I think that Anthony Daniels is probably done it. He's probably had enough. And I think
I would too.
And the thing with C3PO is I don't think you could get somebody else to do it. I don't think it would work because how much voice is in it. With Chewbacca, it's different.
Yep.
Although it's not Peter Mayhew, but the voice attached to it is not the same because it's kind of a growl, right? It's not but with C3PO, it's Anthony Daniels to the core, and so I don't think once he stops doing it, I think that'll be it for that.
Yeah, you can't really. I mean, even somebody like Vader, you can. There's sound-alikes. There's people who've played Vader in games and stuff. Nobody has ever played 3PO except Anthony Daniels. Whether it's cartoons, video games, whatever. Those friggin' little Lego cartoons they make, he plays 3PO too. So I don't see a world where they're like, let's get somebody else. It's just not.
I don't think so.
No. But whatever the case, we will miss you, Mr. 3PO.
Oh, yeah.
Goldenrod.
Well, it's like his book's coming out at the end of it all, right? Like, hey, this is the end. Here's my book to wrap it all up.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice to, because he's synonymous with Star Wars. It's very fitting that he takes something of a center stage role at the end of it all because it feels right. But that's Unleashed. That's Unleashed of our golden friend, Mr. 3PO. Fun fact, my friend Tiago, who is not a Star Wars fan at all, just the other day I was talking about Star Wars to him, and he thought this whole time that C3PO's name was C3PO. I don't know why he thought that, but it was pretty funny watching him find out that he's been wrong for 32 years.
Tell Tiago I'm blocking him on all social media now.
Yeah.
He was literally like, oh, but he's not see-through anymore, so I guess they just call him Peel now, and I'm like, what is happening? Where is this coming from? But no, that's Unleashed. Thank you very much, Phil, first of all. Thank you very much for coming on the show here. And you're where are you right now? You're all the way in Thailand?
Yep, that's where I am now,
Wow, that's awesome, man. So we got a time differential. So if you're wondering why it looks like it's nighttime where Phil is and why James has golden rays of sunlight cascading through his background, that's the reason. Yeah. Phil, do you have anything you want to plug? Anything you want to share? Any social media stuff you like to do?
Absolutely nothing to plug.
How about your eBay page? You want
cool shelf on
No, nothing to plug. Just thanks for having me on, and
thanks for coming on.
I look forward to coming on again.
Yeah. James, do you have any podcasts you want to plug?
Nope.
Yeah. Right.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
We never say that. We
Have
never.
you seen the third episode of Mandalorian yet?
Oh yes. Have
Because
you?
I'm about to watch it. Watch it on the.
So Thailand didn't
No,
get
I
it
don't.
either, huh?
No, but I've seen the first two.
Yeah.
You know,
It's so stupid.
whatever.
I'm not happy.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
it's
happy
crazy,
with
it's
the
crazy.
fact. Like, we're trying not to do spoilers for it, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to talk about it. Like, and
Yeah.
I just think it's like, I don't know. There were ways they could have let everybody watch it anywhere, really.
Yeah, and then the thing is that like now what they've done is that I'm ready to pay for it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm ready.
Oh yeah.
But like now I've got no choice but to get it from somewhere else, and like I can't I'm not going to wait like until next year to watch it.
Well,
So,
exactly.
especially when Star Wars themselves are tweeting out the spoilers of those episodes.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
so that's I saw a few things on Twitter earlier or Instagram or something, and it was called The Sin, right, or something. The
Yeah,
Sin, and,
yeah.
and I was like, well, I'm not going to read that, right? So I'm going to go and watch it after.
You're gonna love it, and it's directed by a Canadian.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's actually.
Oh,
I thought it was the best
Deborah
episode.
Chow is Canadian.
Yes, Andrew, get on with it. She's
Ooh.
from Toronto.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
That's
why.
where I'm almost
That's why she's so talented and doing the entire Obi-Wan series. I'm sure
Oh,
that
right,
has nothing
okay.
to do with it, but no, you're gonna love that episode. I think.
Yeah, no, but I just wanted to sort of, if anybody's watching, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. I'm ready to pay for this Disney thing, right? Like, it's Disney. I'm ready to pay.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of money, and I'm ready. And like,
And they won't let
the
you.
fact that you have to watch it through other
I've got no
channels.
choice. I've got no choice now. I'm not going to wait.
You can't because it's they wouldn't allow press to screen the first episode until it aired because they didn't want that spoiler leaked, and they won't show it to everybody. So now the spoiler hasn't I guess leaked because it's aired properly, but at the same time, half the world hasn't been able to watch it. So I don't know. I think it's
And there's pictures of that character everywhere.
everywhere.
You can't escape it.
everywhere.
Yeah. It's the new Let It Go. Like you can't you can't escape. So
It is the most. I think it is the most perfect thing that anything Star Wars has ever done.
And I did. You mean the Frozen Let It Go?
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a big karaoke session earlier with my daughter, and I probably sang it 12 times
Oh,
this
good,
afternoon.
good. That's actually not too bad.
Just on repeat. Like,
Yeah.
one more time, one more time, one more time. Okay.
Are you going to see Frozen
Yeah.
2?
I'll probably wait because it's only 2, so
Oh.
cinema's a bit of a difficult thing. But
So you get to
she
wait
knows the
till
word.
you get to wait
She
till
knows
you
the
see-
words one more time, right? So if she liked anything, it's just one more time, one more time.
The
So,
new
like, Frozen
big,
was ridiculous.
the new big song in the sequel is incredibly hard to sing unless you have a set of pipes like Elsa. So if you're doing karaoke with that one, make sure you just have like some lemon tea with you because you will need it when
Yeah.
you're done. But that's Unleashed. That has been the Frozen / C3PO episode of Unleashed for you here today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thanks again, Mr. Phil Staniforth, one of our Patreon homies, for calling in all the way from Thailand. I hope you enjoy episode 3 of The Mandalorian, sir. And James, you were always scum.
Rebel Scum?
That's right. You get a cookie.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.